let's talk about the final part of the 90 Day The Last Resort Season 2 tell-all. In my opinion, the only, really good part of this tell-all seemed to be the first part, and it seemed like the rest were just filler episodes. I really wish they would have brought Matt to the actual tell-all, but I understand why they didn't. So they actually sit down with Gino and Jasmine in this tell-all, and I was really hoping we were going to get a lot more insight than we did, but we really didn't get much. We just learned that Jasmine and Gino went home after the resort. Jasmine started going and spending the night with Matt, and she turned her location off, and she realized she enjoyed spending time with Matt more than Gino, so she preferred to hang out with Matt. And that was my fear, what was going to happen in this situation. If you have a man who's banging you, giving you everything you need, then there's no reason for her to still need Gino. But unfortunately, by the time Gino realized that, it was too little too late, and everybody was trying to warn him about that before it actually got to that point, but he just refused to listen. And I'm really curious that now that she's with Matt and living with Matt and has a baby with Matt, the rules are typically that they have to pay for whoever they bring over to the United States for at least 10 years. I wonder if he's still bankrolling her and giving her money now that she's in the U.S., or if they kind of just are taking care of their own selves. Because I would, if I was Gino and I was still having to take care of Jasmine financially, I'd be trying to get that divorce started as soon as possible. Jasmine packed her bags. She moved in with Matt. She was able to convince Matt to move to Florida, which I'm sure she did that for numerous reasons. We know how much she hates the cold weather, and in sunny Florida, it's warm all year round. And I'm sure she didn't want to live in that same area anymore because she probably didn't want to risk running into Gino with any women he was taking out, or possibly run into any of Gino's family or friends that she didn't get along with. So she moved to Florida with Matt, got pregnant, now they have a baby. And they ended up asking Gino, why did you agree to this? We don't understand, how this benefited you at the end of the day, because the only person this seemed to benefit was Jasmine. And Gino said, look, I felt like I was backed in a corner and I was forced to make a decision. And he kind of knew that going on the show, though, because when you go on 90 Day The Last Resort, at the very end, you're going to have to come to some kind of decision, whether you stand on that decision or not. We've seen people break up and then end up right back together. So they asked, what was the benefit for him to do this? And the only person that seemed to get anything out of this was Jasmine. And he said, I just wanted Jasmine to be able to have sex because that seemed to be a huge frustration for her. And I just thought if she could have sex, then she would feel better. But at the end of the day, let's be honest, the only thing Jasmine wanted to do was get closer to Matt so she could eventually get with Matt, because she knew her relationship or her marriage with Gino was pretty much over at that point. And instead of just being honest and leaving Gino, she decided to do this whole mess. And I think it would have been a lot better off for her if she would have just chose to break things off. And even she admitted that. But she's like, there was something in it for Gino. So everyone got all quiet and said, okay, what was it? And she said, well, he got cheeseburgers. And everybody's like, girl, what the hell? What are you talking about? And she's like, cheeseburgers. He got cheeseburgers out of this. He would tell me that when I went to go see Matt, that he wanted Matt to buy me a cheeseburger. So she's trying to make it sound like Gino was like, okay, well, if you're going to be banging the guy, I need to get something out of the guy, so he's got to buy me cheeseburgers. I'm not really buying that part. I think that Jasmine just came up with anything to make it sound like Gino was benefiting from this situation. And even Gino seems so confused. He's like, give me one example when I did that. He's like, you are a damn liar. And Jasmine's like, oh no, he's just switching up now that he's got his buddies all around. He was okay with it as long as he got cheeseburgers. And what I think they should have done is, since Jasmine wanted to have this open relationship, I feel like they should have went home, and I felt like Gino should have been able to pick somebody to have for his open marriage to go and date and go out on dates with the nights that Jasmine's going out with Matt. So he's not just sitting at home all lonely, sad, thinking about what's going on. I feel like that would be the only way that would be fair. You know, and Jasmine, I feel like maybe she would have second guesses as she's like, okay, well, I'm moving on, but he's also moving on. Because even though they agreed on it, I think Jasmine was like, okay, yeah, he's not going to be trying to find anyone anytime soon. So she wasn't really that worried about that. And then they had Matt come into the picture. They bring him via video, and they're like, okay, Matt, so what happened with Jasmine? You were told that you guys need to use protection, and then she got pregnant. And he's like, look, I thought that I'd be good. I haven't had kids this far in life, and I really wasn't planning on having kids anytime soon. But next thing you know, we took all the precautions to make sure she didn't get pregnant, and she got pregnant. Which I'm not really buying that at all. I feel like he was raw dogging it from day one. I really wish they would have pushed more. That's the thing. It seems like they'd just be letting these people lie. They don't really push back on any of their answers sometimes. Like, I would have been like, okay, what precautions did you take? And why do you think that they failed for you to get pregnant? I think that Matt just saw the opportunity to get with Jasmine, and he didn't want to lose Jasmine, so he hurried up and knocked her up real quick. Because how do you go all your life not getting anybody pregnant, but you happen to get Jasmine pregnant within months of being with her? Then they asked Matt if he loved Jasmine. He said, of course, she's carrying my child. Then they asked Jasmine if she loves Matt. And she's like, well, and she's just beating around the bush. And I know that's all cap, because if you follow her on Instagram, it is so freaking obvious how in love she is with Matt. And she's always constantly saying on Instagram, oh, I'm a single mom. I'm doing it all by herself. All by myself. Even though she's living with Matt and she's with Matt on the daily, I feel like she almost just uses the whole single mom act to make it seem like she is struggling, and so people will feel bad and send her money, buy cameos, and end up buying stuff off her like baby registry list. Because not only did she have a baby registry, but now she has like a gift registry for Matilda's 1 month birthday. Then now she has another gift registry now that her 1 month birthday's over. Like, she just keeps asking for more and more. Like, I get getting baby registry gifts, but you don't have to keep asking for gifts every single month for your child, especially when you're making thousands on Cameo every single week. And that's not even counting her OF money and money she makes from the show. She's like, I don't know if I love Matt. I guess we'll just have to wait and see, which that was just all BS to me. And I think Matt's a liar too. Like, he's trying to lie like, oh, I didn't try to break the marriage up. Even though he started talking to Jasmine, knowing she was a married woman, started hitting on her at the gym when she had a wedding ring on, and he still continued on with the relationship. Like, at this point, I think Jasmine and Matt seem to be made for each other, because they both seem to be liars. They both lie and manipulate to make themselves seem less worse than they really are. And Jasmine was like, yeah, I don't know if I love him. And I just think she's saying this just in case like anybody watches the show and says, okay, I don't feel like you're being authentic when it comes to this marriage, so we're going to strip your green card away. I feel like that's the real reason why she's also telling people, not just for sympathy, but she's also acting like she's a single mother and she's not with Matt on Instagram, even though they're with each other every single day. I think she's doing that because she has an immigration lawyer, and I bet her immigration lawyer told her, like, girl, it's probably not best to sit here and brag that you're in a new relationship while you're married to this man, while you're still trying to stay in this country. And so she's like, I don't know. And then all of a sudden she switches it to, you know, I could never hate Gino. I know he just wants to make me look bad. And I think this is her just trying to look like the victim. Jasmine's no idiot, and she knows she looks bad, and the best way she can try to make herself look better is to try to look like the victim. And I don't believe that she still loves Gino and she doesn't want him to look bad, because everything she's done since they broke up and since she's been with Matt on social media tells me the complete opposite. She's been saying one thing after another, trying to destroy this man's reputation, and been on a constant smear campaign. So I don't believe that you still love this man. I just feel like you want to make it look like you don't want to seem as heartless as you really are for what you did to Gino. And so Gino and Matt started going back and forth because Gino was calling out Matt. He's like, look, you ruined my marriage. You can act like you didn't try to, but you did. And Matt's like, look, I really don't give a damn. I don't feel bad because you weren't treating her right. So I stepped up and I made sure I started treating her good. Gino called Matt ugly. Matt said that Gino was a senior citizen. And just when things started to heat up, the host, Sean, was like, okay, we're going to go ahead and wrap things up. Looks like we're not going to fix everything today. You know, her famous little line she always does and says it's time to move on just when things start to get juicy. So they said goodbye to Matt. And Gino said that he has not been with any other women since him and Jasmine broke up. And that's another thing. Like, Jasmine has been adamant on social media that Gino had another girl that he was dating before she got with Matt or while she was with Matt. So she was like, you know, I wasn't the only one sleeping around. Gino was sleeping around too. But when Gino said at the tell-all that he hasn't been with any women, if what Jasmine was saying was true, I would have been like, okay, Gino, no, I know for a fact that you were with this girl and that girl. Like, Jasmine did not stand on her 2 feet when it came to that. And she was saying all this on social media, but when it came down to the tell-all, she had nothing to say about this, which makes me think that what she's been saying about Gino being with other women while she was with Matt, I think that's just all a lie. I think he did finally move on once Jasmine moved out, but at the time of the tell-all, he still hadn't hooked up with anybody, even though Jasmine is 8 months pregnant at this point with another man's baby. I definitely believed he was talking to other women at this point, but according to him, he acts like it hadn't progressed beyond that. And then they brought out all the counselors and the therapist from the last resort, and once they came out, people were not happy with that therapist. I can't remember. I think her name was Reba. I'm pretty sure. I'm sorry if I had the name wrong. But they brought out Reba, the therapist that was in an open marriage herself, and she's sitting there saying, you know, I just think it was a bad idea that they went forward with this open marriage because they weren't in a good spot with their relationship. And it really takes somebody with a healthy relationship or marriage to have a successful open marriage, because this is not for anybody, and you have to have a really solid foundation. And Gino and all the guys were like, hold up, I don't remember you telling us this at the resort. And I do remember her saying this to Gino. I'm not sure if they mentioned this to, or not Gino. I do know they said that to Jasmine. I can't remember if they warned Gino about everything and the implications of what he could be facing. I feel like the cast members were the only ones who were warning him, and everybody else was encouraging it because I think they knew it was going to be a shit show and they wanted all this to go down for the ratings and for the drama. And Reba clapped back and she said, look, it's not my job as a therapist to tell you what to do. You're a grown man, so you have to make your own decisions. I can just give you advice. And at that point, all the male cast members and Gino were roasting Reba and felt like pretty much she was on Jasmine's side and were blaming her for destroying her marriage. But let's be honest, their marriage was destroyed even before they came at the resort. Their marriage was toxic as hell, and they had no business being together because they're just not compatible. Do you guys remember at the beginning of the tell-all how Gino came out and he's like, you know, I got some tea on me and Jasmine. We're not together anymore, but I got some tea on Matt and I'm gonna make him cry. Well, what was that tea? Because he never spilled it. I was waiting anxiously every single part of the tell-all. I'm like, what is this tea that Gino is about to spill? I'm ready to see Matt cry. But once it came down to it, the only things that Gino had to say to Matt was calling him ugly. But Gino had me convinced that he really had some arsenal on Matt. I mean, maybe he did, and maybe he just didn't say it, but I feel like if he did, he would have definitely unleashed it, especially while they were going back and forth when Matt was at the tell-all, like after Matt called him a senior citizen. I'm not sure how true this is, but I've heard from several other bloggers that Reba is allegedly a PR person, a media person. Like, she typically doesn't do therapy as a full-time job. And I feel like TLC planted her on purpose at the resort to try to encourage this open marriage. But I think that's pretty much everything with Jasmine, Gino, and Jasmine's new man, Matt. Jasmine is constantly posting pictures of her new baby every day. She's posting like 10, 20 stories on her Instagram. And I feel like that's her. Yes, she's excited to be a new mother, but I also feel like she's being kind of trying to be manipulative. Like, for people who may not agree with her, she's trying to be like, okay, don't talk trash on me because I'm a mother. I'm out here struggling. And she keeps trying to make it sound like she's a single mother for sympathy, even though I'm still not buying that. And I would just feel so bad if I was her 2 kids back in Panama, seeing how much she's showing off her new child, knowing that she barely posted her other children and still has yet to go see them. I hope she goes and sees them eventually. She acts like she's going to try to go see them in the next year. I've sat there and counted how much she makes from Cameo. She makes, like, for example, like last month, or I think it was around Valentine's Day, she was making like $5,000 a week from Cameo. And that's not counting the money that she's made from OF and from the show every single week when the show airs. I know she's making a minimum of $1,000. So she seems to be doing pretty well off right now. So she's definitely in a position where she can afford to go see her children. So if I was her, I would be planning to go do that as soon as possible. But that is it for this video, guys. Let me know what you guys thought of the 90-day, the last resort tell-all, especially the 5th part. And I wonder when we're going to get the new season of The Single Life. That's what I'm looking forward to next. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and thank you so much for watching.